September is National Disaster Preparedness Month. And I don't know if you're like me, when I think of preparedness, I usually think of what I need to do at home, which of course is very important. But there are also things that our schools, our city does in getting ready for a disaster. And I have with me Dr. Tom Duncan from the Simpson County School Systems to give us a little information about what our schools do to prepare for a disaster and to protect our children. So welcome. Glad to have you. How do y'all handle disaster preparation?
Well, every school has a disaster plan. They call it a crisis management plan, and it encompasses everything from tornadoes, earthquakes, fires, the shooter on campus situation. And every school has different strategies because every school campus layout is a little bit different. So obviously if we're evacuating in a fire, it may be a little different on McGee High than it is over at McGee Elementary, but typically there are protocols in place for every imaginable kind of situation.
Do you, I always think of fire drills from when we were in school and that type of thing, but now when you have like a tornado, which we're definitely have that around here, it seems like every other day, but where do you suggest that children go?
Okay,
how do you handle that?
On a tornado drill, obviously you want to protect yourself, and so it's just like in your own home. You want to get to that interior space that's is well protected. So most of the time, our interior space is the hallway, and the kids are trained, and we practice this, that they go in the hall, they get up against the wall, and they know how to duck and cover. And so that's how the tornado drills are practiced, and that's typically the safest location in a school building.
Do you find the children cooperate during
For the first 5 minutes, they're great, yes. And then
I'd
they
be
get a little
the
restless.
same way. I'm afraid I would be the same way. I would be the same way.
No, actually, we practice that enough, and they know that they realize the importance of that. So yes, they typically.
Do you use a type of bell system? What do you do in case electricity shuts down and you have no PA system?
Well,
what does the teacher do?
If the electricity is down, then typically we have walkie-talkies on every hallway, and then that particular teacher is responsible for running up and down the hall and making sure everybody knows. And typically, if you step outside and start yelling, "Hey, tornado drill! Everybody get your positions," they'll know what to do. And then obviously in a fire drill, you would holler fire drill. If you're in a building that's supposed to evacuate, then you know where to go.
Well, I admire the schools and having those plans because you got to have them. You've got to have them. One thing that has been interesting to me as I listen to maybe the weather reports and the weather gets bad, and all of a sudden I'll look outside and it'll be lightning and thunder, and it's time to get out of school. What is the parent to do if it's pickup time, let's say, for your child?
Sure, and that's been a point of contention with some parents and the schools, because we don't want to release a child, obviously, if it's a lightning storm going on right at the time of dismissal.
Well,
and so we have held school and held students in buildings until it subsided, let up a little bit. And obviously we have parents that show up early and say, "I want to get my kid out of school," and that's okay. But you have to think about it. What is the safest place for them to be? Indoors in a protected area. And so our first priority is to protect those kids. And so if we keep them in, it's for safety reasons.
Well, I would think too it would almost turn into bedlam. If all these people want to come early, there's supposed to be a storm at 1 o'clock, and so they come at 11 o'clock. I don't see how you can handle all that.
Well, we do, but then, most parents realize that we're going to take care of their child, and that they don't show up. So the few that do, we can handle that.
You probably know that they're going to be anyway.
Most of the time.
How do you let parents know that there's going to be early dismissal?
We have the AIM call system, and parents identify to us their primary phone number, and we can phone or text them, impending bad weather, school dismiss at 2 o'clock, or when we had all the flooding in that system, and school's going to be delayed, and we get it out to the news media as well as to what that schedule is going to be. But now, with cell phones these days, and most parents want the messages on cell phones, it's very important, parents, to please make sure we have your current cell phone number.
That's right, not at once.
Please, so that's a little plug there, because obviously, if we don't have your current cell phone number, you're not going to get that call.
Right.
And
So it's almost like, don't blame me,
well, we should have the current cell phone number, but we don't know when parents swap cell phone numbers and that kind of stuff. So, they need to keep us informed. So
And
we can
they
keep
may
them
not
informed.
think about it. They
Yeah,
may not
sure.
think about the fact that they need to be sure that their child's number or their parent's number is on record.
That's right.
That's really a
very
good thing to
important.
remember. We talked about different places to go for bad weather, for fire, but I don't, heaven forbid that we should ever deal with a school shooting, and I hope we will not. But how do you handle a school shooting?
Well, with the rash of shootings that have been nationwide, they've had some very specific training that we've attended, and I don't know if you'll notice sometimes when you pass by our campus, there are numbers in the windows now and things like that, so we can identify rooms from the exterior. But the protocol for a school shooter is just like any intruder on campus, lock it down. And so the teachers are
When
told.
you say lock it down, what does that mean?
That means we lock the school doors, we lock the classroom doors, and the teachers are not supposed to let anybody in that can't clearly identify themselves.
Do our rooms lock? I know that sounds funny, but
So we have some very old buildings, and we
That I
have,
went
and we have
schooling.
some that don't lock. To be quite frank with you, but most of the newer buildings can lock from the inside, and obviously we have trained teachers how to barricade their door, in the ones that don't have the locking mechanism. Now, those are actually a little few and far between now, but there are also hallways that still don't have locking doors.
well, we didn't have a bond issue to pass.
There you go.
And that's so you didn't get all locked
There you go.
doors. So we just have to pay for what we get, don't we? But on that, and the reason I'm asking about locking, it's interesting to me. Can a child go into the room and lock the teacher out? How does that door lock on a door that is lockable? Is it like in my house or something? It's just a flip. Are those flip locks, or do they have to have a key, or
You're
do you?
texting me
I
something.
know that's
I
not a fair question, really, because
Vision
that's really a technical one.
No, I think some of them do have the flip locks, but teachers, like everybody at McGee High in the new building, their keys will unlock all those doors, and we have a master key that'll open everything.
If they all lock up in there.
Students aren't going to lock the teacher out. And it may be keyed both ways. I'm not sure.
I just
but
wonder.
I'll check that today.
Well, that's really just me. I mean, that's really not something. It's just I had it on my mind so much because I was so aware of even things within my home and about locking, and it got me to thinking about the school and the children and the teachers, their safety, and how you actually handled a locking situation. With this being Preparedness Month, September, I think right now that Dr. Tom has already given you one of the number one things. Be sure you have the correct cell number at the school. There's many things you as a parent, as a grandparent, can do to protect your child while they are at school. That's just one small thing, being sure that they have the correct number. They're going to take care of you. I'm going to tell you, they've got their plans done because all of it's mandated, but they want to too.
And we do. We practice drills. We had a total evacuation of both campuses at McGee High and McGee Middle recently on a fire plan on October the 16th at 10:16. So on 10:16 at 10:16 in the morning, we're participating in the Great American Shakeout, and that's an earthquake drill. So
Really?
a little different, but we are in a fault zone
We are.
apparently, and we need to practice.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that we are on one. How are you going to do that? How do you do
Well, again, they're protocols, and obviously you pretend like,
Right.
this building has been compromised, so we have to evacuate this building. We have injuries here, so we're going to have a response team here. Because earthquakes typically don't devastate an entire campus. They
Right.
just shake, rattle, and roll, and most of the kids, drop, cover, and hold on, get under something, but then we will designate certain buildings to say, oh, you got hit really bad, you got to evacuate, and that kind of thing.
Okay, so when that happens on October the 16th at 10:16, right?
10:16 in the
Do
morning.
not worry. The children are not really are not leaving McGee or whichever school.
It's a drill.
Is this countywide?
Yes, ma'am.
Countywide. We'll be looking
Actually,
for
I
that.
think it's statewide. They're going to.
Oh, really? Well, that's interesting. That'll be interesting to follow. I'm glad you told me that. I hope again that you will be prepared. I think the Girl Scouts have a great motto, and I think it's one that applies to us as well as to the schools, but as much as anything, it applies to the family, the individual to be prepared. Our school is prepared, and I hope that you will be.